Chubbs tweeted Kevin Durant requested a trade, and over half the league called about getting him. Then 2 weeks later, nothing has happened. People are blaming the Rudy Gobert trade. Well, Gobert can get 4 first-round picks. That market for Durant is gonna be wild. Apparently not.
When the Nets put him on the market, Dan, I think they thought there was gonna be a tremendous bidding war. And while there's a lot of interest, from what I can tell, that bidding war isn't really hot right now.
But the Gobert trade is not the problem at all. This has been going on for years. In 2019, the Clippers traded Gallo, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and 7 firsts for Paul George. That summer, Anthony Davis went for young stars and 4 picks on an expiring contract. Before that, the market for stars was totally different. Kawhi went to Toronto for DeMar DeRozan, Jakob Poeltl, and a pick. Young Kyrie went to Boston for 2 bad players and a pick. The Nets were gonna ask for a huge return regardless of Gobert. So why does no one want KD? Well, they asked Minnesota for Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, and 4 picks. They asked Boston for Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, Derek White, and 4 firsts. Okay, that last one was from a fake account, but that's probably closer to reality than we think. The problem with KD is he's just not worth that anymore. This is the worst time in his career to trade him. If you forgot already, against Boston, he shot 39% from the field, 33% from deep. With a healthy Kyrie, what happened to a walking mismatch? On top of that, he's 33 years old and injury prone. So this video explains how low the Nets actually have to go to move him. What the Nets really want in a trade is a young star and picks. ESPN's top 13 players under 25 are Luka, Tatum, Ja, Trey, LaMelo, Cade, Zion, Bam, Darius Garland, SGA, Ant, BI, and Scotty Barnes. All of their teams would refuse to put them in a trade. So what about below the top 13? Tyrese Halliburton, Evan Mobley, Miles Bridges, maybe not anymore, Desmond Bane, Jared Allen, DeAndre Ayton, Tyler Hero, Jalen Green, De'Aaron Fox, John Collins, Tyrese Maxey, and Triple J. Tell me in the comments, but I would part with most of those guys for KD. The problem is the Nets don't want him. They need an elite young player in picks, because they already made one of those dumb trades. KD and Kyrie asked for James Harden, so Brooklyn dealt Karis LeVert, All-Star Jared Allen, and 8 firsts. And they got this. Oh my God. So now the Nets need someone else's future because their future belongs to Houston. So unless the Nets want to accept one of those below 13 young players, KD and Kyrie are gonna stay in Brooklyn. But what if the Nets completely change their mindset? There is one other trade that the Nets could make. Instead of a future star, they might be able to get a current star in his prime. Would the Heat make this deal? The Nets get Jimmy Butler and 3 firsts if they remove protections for OKC for Kevin Durant. We know the Nets want someone like Bam, but that gets complicated. The designated rookie extension rule says you can't have 2 players acquired in a trade that are on that extension. So Ben Simmons would have to be moved in a separate deal. Jimmy Butler, though, solves that issue. Jimmy just dragged Miami to the 1 seed with an underperforming Kyle Lowry and Tyler Hero playing no defense. If he hits that 3 against Boston, they make the finals. So would the Heat actually have the guts to do this deal after that kind of season? I don't know, so here's 3 more deals that I think make sense. The Nets get Paul George, Terrence Mann, a 2028 first. The Clippers get KD. The Clips can only send 1 first-round pick, but Terrence Mann is a really good young player. PG was amazing without Kawhi last year, and I would love to see how he would play with a healthy and dialed-in Ben Simmons. His defense is elite, and I think that team could make some noise in the postseason. In LA, KD and Kawhi would be the best big 2 in the league. Now, I know both guys are injury-prone, so it's kind of a gamble, but the ceiling is way higher with Kevin Durant. Let's stay in LA. The Nets get Anthony Davis and Talen Horton-Tucker. The Lakers get KD. I know people think AD is made of glass, and he is, but over the last 3 years, the Brow has played 33 more games. But the Lakers already said that they're not going to do this trade. They're focused on Kyrie. So let's get to a 3-team deal. The Nets get Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Jakob Poeltl, and 3 firsts The Nuggets get KD and the Spurs get Ben Simmons. The Spurs here have to take Ben Simmons because Jamal Murray is on that rookie max. It's a small price to pay for a former star that could rehab his game in San Antonio. The Nets get 3 good players and 3 good picks. Imagine KD playing with Michael Porter Jr. and the Joker. Denver's been just short in the playoffs recently. This would be a championship move. Unless the Nets change their price to something like this deal isn't going to happen. What I'm hoping is they do trade KD, and this is all just a part of negotiation. It reminds me of the Mavericks owner Mark Cuban when he's on Shark Tank.
I love the idea, but 3.5% is not enough.
5%.
No. I need 15%.
Ooh. Would you consider 12%?
I'll do it at 12% plus 2% advisory.
You got a deal.
Perfect.
Yay!
So Mark knew that he would take 12%, so he started all the way up at 15%. It's like the Nets asking for Cat, Ant, and picks, when in reality, they're willing to take much less. It reminds me of when Shaq was traded to the Heat back in 2004. Kobe wanted the Lakers to get Dwayne Wade, but the Heat weren't going to do that. Shaq got to LA in 1996, pairing with Kobe as a teenager. Unlike Kyrie and KD, the Lakers became a dynasty. They won 3 straight chips starting in 2000, but Kobe and Shaq started to beef. Shaq would pout about his contract, he wouldn't stay in shape. He ended the 03 season weighing 358 pounds at over 20% body fat. He came back slightly more in shape. Then, even with a super team, including Gary Payton and Karl Malone, they lost in 5 to the Pistons in the 04 finals. Kobe was about to be a free agent, so to make him happy, they put Shaq on the market. And you would think an MVP, 3-time finals MVP will get a haul, but no. The Mavericks would not include Dirk Nowitzki. The Pacers wouldn't even trade Jermaine O'Neal, and the Heat didn't include D. Wade. So the Lakers got back Lamar Odom, Caron Butler, Brian Grant, and 1 first-round pick. That deal was so bad, the Lakers missed the playoffs for the first time in 11 years. Obviously, they ended up rebounding years later to win 2 chips, but at the time, teams knew the Lakers were in a tough spot, so they weren't going to offer the world. So right now, the Nets are going to have to take a lesser deal like the 04 Lakers or risk running it back with that locker room. No one is going to give their version of D. Wade for the Nets version of 04 Shaq. And if the Nets move Kyrie Irving, it's only going to be to the Lakers because reports say that the Lakers are the only team that have any interest, but right now it hasn't gotten done, and the Lakers are messing up this deal. I think it is key if they're going to be remotely competitive next season, and Russ doesn't even have to end up on the Nets. I made a whole video about it right here. Check it out.